So, good evening, good evening, good evening. We are back again. We might not be back for long. I need to plug my Mac in. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail, Lee. We are back again. And we're going to talk about United. Man United. Man United's takeover is apparently upon us, according to Neil Custis and David Ornstein. Yeah, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty and dissect and give my honest opinions on whether I think this is BS and PR, whether it might actually happen. But before we do that, make sure, stick a like on the video, all of the good stuff. Sub to the channel. We're less than 250 from 20K. Come on, people. Let's get it done. That 20K will be a big milestone for me as well. Really, really want to smash it up to 50K by Christmas. So that's on me, but it's also on you. I have to put out the good content. You have to enjoy and subscribe. Also, I want to divert your attention to the main channel. Just finished doing a stream with James Redmond. Always enjoy talking to him. And that was great. So go and check that out. I've got a video coming out later this evening as well about Gabriel Magalhaes, Sambi Lokonga, Balogun, all linked to moves and stuff like that. So keep your eyes peeled on the main channel as well. And I'm also on with Jez, Arsenal History and More YouTube channel. I'm on at 6 p.m. UK time. Tomorrow, Saudi watch along on here. Mahrez FC, baby, sourcing out. Me and Henry Wright on here for the watch along. But anyway, get your comments and super chats down below. That would be great. And it came to light last night. Neil Custis. Was it Sean Custis? Sean Custis. I'm mixing up Neil Ashton and Sean Custis. Well, they're both PR puppets for Man United, let's be real. But anyway, Custis claims that the announcement could be penciled for mid-October. How convenient, I hear you cry. But he works for The Sun. It is Neil Custis. See, I knew I was right. We're talking about Neil Custis on Tuesday night said Sheikh Jassim has won the race. He's won the race. And his team are now completing the due diligence on the club. Sheikh Jassim wants a full takeover while Radcliffe and Ineos only wanted a majority stake. Now, listen, David Ornstein has obviously piped up into this as well. And listen, when David Ornstein tweets, more people tend to listen. But again, being an Arsenal fan, I know that this guy Ornstein is one of the biggest PR merchants for football clubs out there, because the amount of waffle he comes out with about my club and Chelsea and Tottenham, mainly the London clubs, but he is, again, a bit of a puppet for most of the clubs. And listen, when you've got 2.5 million followers on a Twitter account, I understand that the clubs are going to have you in the back pocket. You're going to get access. You're going to be able to do an interview here and an interview there. You get the exclusive. Yeah, with Arsenal, he's allowed to tweet out 1 minute before the actual official Arsenal Twitter account announces a new signing. Well, if that don't tell you he's on the payroll, what else does? So I always take with a pinch of salt what he says as well. But he explained, we've seen a number of false dawns going back to before the transfer window in this prolonged process. He loves that word, doesn't he? We have seen one moment, the Qataris were ahead. The next moment, it was Ineos. Then the whole process. Let's take a shot every time he says process. So that's 2 shots of black coffee. Cheers. Cheers, guys. The whole process seemed to be paused. There was a consensus. He loves these buzzwords, this guy, doesn't he? That this would get some sort of resolution after the transfer window, because it was affecting them in the transfer market. It's affected so much discourse around the club. Of course it has. The biggest unanswered question amongst all of it is whether the Glazers really will sell to push when it comes to shove. So far, they haven't had an answer on that, but perhaps we are getting towards it now. Perhaps. Notice that word, perhaps. Buzzword, perhaps. Perhaps. What does that mean? That means maybe. It's another word for maybe. Perhaps. Maybe. So maybe not as well then, right? Cool. Let's continue. If the takeover is completed by mid-October, it would allow the new United owner in place for the January transfer window. Oh shit, Sherlock. This guy talks a lot without saying anything. United have spent a significant amount under the Glazer ownership this summer with deals for Mount, Andre Onana, Rasmus Højlund costing over 150 million. They're also closing in on a 30 million move for Nice centre-back Jean-Claire Todibo according to French outlet L'Equipe. Right, now listen, let's dissect this properly. Let's just dissect this properly away from David Ornstein's puppet buzzwords that get everyone excited. Perhaps. Well, that's maybe. Well, perhaps I might have a dump in 5 minutes. But if I don't, I ain't going to shit myself, am I? Like, perhaps I might have breakfast at midday tomorrow. Perhaps I might put milk in my coffee tomorrow. But perhaps I won't as well. Yeah, this is what these journalists do. They're very, very smart. Very, very smart at using words that sound like it's great. Perhaps they'll be considering doing it now. Perhaps they'll get it over the line. Perhaps they won't. Perhaps this is just. Mason Greenwood stories come out that he's leaving the club by mutual consent. Then we've got the alleged Anthony story out there. Plus, Man United have been shambolic on the pitch for the last 2 games. Now you've got Mason Mount out injured as well. So just perhaps this is a load of PR. We know that Neil Custis gets a freebie at Man United every week. We know that David Ornstein puts PR out there for every football club. So perhaps this isn't happening at all. And then what will happen is, just my opinion, you lot may differ from me. Yeah, listen, Man United fans watching this will know their club better than I ever will. But perhaps it doesn't happen. And what will happen, in my opinion, is that after the transfer window shuts, because it's masking over the poor transfer window they've had, because they've signed 2 players that are injured now and a goalkeeper. Yes, the goalkeeper's an upgrade. You've signed a geezer with a bad back, and Mason Mount's been crap for 2 games in the league, and now he's out injured until, what, October maybe? I don't know. But either way, what will happen is when the transfer window shuts, everyone's going to be sitting there going, right, well, that's that then. We can concentrate on football. Don't worry, the Sheikhs are taking over in October. And then what will happen is a story out of nowhere will come along, again by one of these journalists that I call puppets, that will come out, and it'll be, oh, it takes a U-turn because of the due diligence that Sheikh Jassim's doing, and they found a discrepancy here, there, or somewhere else. And then it'll all go around again. And before you know it, it'll go into November, which is then exactly 1 year since this started. I'm sorry, I've not got 6 billion quid to buy Man United. I don't understand exactly how that works. But what I do know is it is one of the longest takeovers in living history. So that tells me that, number one, the Glazers ain't really keen on selling. Number 2, is this Sheikh Jassim even got the money? Yes, we know he's a sheikh, but does he actually have the money? We know that Jim Ratcliffe's just a puppet and ain't got the money anyway. You've only got to go and have a look at what he's done to Nice. Yeah, when he took over at Nice, I think they were 2nd. Yeah, now look at him. Absolutely shambolic. So we know what he's all about if he come into Man United. But I just look at it and I think, with all of these little subplots and sub-stories that have come out in the last couple of weeks, Greenwood, Anthony, Mason Mount's brother, the performances on the pitch, the transfer window not being great, you have to sell to buy and all of this crap. Yeah, and just Google it. How much does the UK spend on PR every year? It's touching 4 billion quid. I'd love to know how much of that goes on football clubs, because some of the rubbish I read, I just laugh. I just sit and laugh. Out of nowhere, breaking news, 11 o'clock last night, Sheikh Jassim has won the race. So do me a favour. Do me a favour. I'm not even a Man United fan, and I just find this hilarious. He's won the race. Really? How long did it take Todd Bowley to take over Chelsea? And I know it's slightly different circumstances because he was obliged to sell the club, Abramovich, but it didn't take a year. And we're getting into a year territory now. So I'm sorry, I'm not buying this story one bit. And that's not me being a bitter Arsenal fan, because anyone who's watched this channel for long enough and watched my other channel for long enough will know that I'm not a bitter Arsenal fan when it comes to other clubs. I'm bitter about my own club because my own club's a shambles. Yeah, it's nowhere near what the club I started supporting. But when it comes to other clubs, I do exactly what I do with Arsenal, give my honest opinions. But I am a little bit bitter with Arsenal because I'm invested in Arsenal because it's my football club. Yeah, I've grown up supporting that club over 30 years, 35 years, in fact. But when it comes to other clubs, I will give my honest opinion on it. I've said many times on here, I want Man United to be back. I want Arsenal to be back. I grew up on that. And people go, oh, you're twerking for rivals. Of cry more, mate. I'm a football fan and an Arsenal fan. And I want the best version of every single club, because then it makes it more competitive. And then it's, come on, let's go, you know? And I ain't buying this story one bit. If you do get it and it does happen, then yeah, pretty much everyone's in trouble. But I don't believe it. I genuinely do not believe it. Again, like I've said, Neil Custis gets on the team bus every single week, driving up and down the country with Man United. Neil Ashton's another one. He's the PR guy. He is actually employed as the PR guy for Man United. And now you've got David Ornstein, who is clearly on the payroll at these football clubs, whether it's directly or indirectly. So for me, with all the stories that have come out in the last couple of weeks and the lack of transfer activity in terms of getting players in that you need, I'm sorry, I ain't buying this story one bit. But maybe you are. Maybe you do think this is a genuine, legit story from these guys. And I'd love to know what you think in the comments. But I just find it very... I'm skeptical about it, because the amount of times we've seen this in this football sphere, and the way these journalists, they're so smart with their wording. So smart with their wording. They cover every single avenue. Every single avenue. Yes, it's perhaps, or sources close to the club, but then they never link the sources. Like, for me, sorry, I'm not buying this. I'm not having it. No, I'm not buying it. But it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts on all of that. Leave it in the comment section. Share the content around. I would appreciate that. And listen, get me up to 20K. Then I can stop harping on about it. Then we can get up to 25K or 30K. But listen, all have a blessed day, whatever it is you're doing. Happy hump day. And make sure you leave your comments and supers down below. Subscribe, share, and let me know. Is this legit, or are you not buying it either? We're out of here. Adios.